So in today's presentation, we are going to cover the topic CMOS inverter from chapter 2 CMOS technology concepts, subject VLSI 22062. We have already studied about the CMOS inverter. This is the circuit schematic for CMOS inverter. Here you can see NMOS and PMOS inputs are connected together to form a single input, that is I, and the drain of both NMOS and PMOS are connected to get the output. So this is CMOS inverter circuit diagram. The working of CMOS inverter. The inverter circuit as shown in the figure consists of two complementary MOSFETs, PMOS and NMOS. The input I serves as the gate voltage for both the transistors. The NMOS transistor has an input from VSS. The NMOS transistor has an input from VSS or ground, and the PMOS transistor has an input from VDD. The terminal O serves as the output for both PMOS and NMOS. When a high voltage is given at I, the NMOS is turned on while the PMOS is switched off. The output is pulled down to VSS. Similarly, when the low gate voltage I is applied, the NMOS is switched off while the PMOS is switched on. The output in this case becomes a VDD, or the output is pulled up to VDD. So this is how the inverter works. So here you can see the table of the CMOS inverter. So when the input is 0, so output is VDD or logic 1, and when input is VDD or logic 1, output is 0. Now in this topic we are going to cover basic fabrication process for IC. So here you can see there are the steps to be followed for IC fabrication. The first step is silicon wafer preparation. Next is epitaxial growth, oxidation, photolithography, diffusion, ion implantation, metallization, testing, and then comes the assembly, processing and packaging. So the step 1, that is silicon wafer preparation, is that the silicon is extracted from the sand and a silicon ingot is prepared, and from that cylindrical rod of silicon, the silicon wafers are prepared. Then next is epitaxial growth. So on this silicon wafer, one more layer of semiconductor is formed, that is called as that is known as epitaxial growth. So that total silicon wafer, and on that you a layer of semiconductor is formed. So that is epitaxial growth. And next, a very important step after this, on which the integrated circuits are formed. So that important step starts from oxidation. So here you can see oxidation is nothing but the formation of silicon dioxide layer on the surface of silicon wafer, so that the whole silicon wafer, along with that epitaxial growth, the whole wafer, a silicon dioxide layer is formed. The function of the silicon dioxide is to protect surface from contaminants, forms insulating layer between conductors, form barriers to dopants during diffusion or ion implantation, grows above and into silicon surface. There are two types of oxidation process. One is dry and second one is wet. Now what is the importance of SiO2, silicon dioxide? Since it is extremely very hard protective coating, it is unaffected by almost all reagents except by hydrochloric acid. So only hydrochloric acid can remove it. Thus it stands against any contamination. And by selective etching of SiO2, diffusion of impurities through careful defined through windows in the SiO2 can be accomplished to fabricate various components. Now after oxidation, the next step is photolithography. So in photolithography, different marks are used so that certain format of that mask can be etched upon the oxidized wafer. So the wafer which we have already done oxidation on. So here you can see the a photoresist is coated with the wafer, you can see here, and then ultraviolet light through mask, a mask is used through mask to selective exposed photoresist. So photoresist is selectively exposed to ultraviolet light, and then the acid is used to dissolve exposed photoresist. So unwanted photoresist is removed. Now use exposed areas for selective dopings. So now whichever is open, that is used for doping removal of material under exposed photoresist. So next step is now diffusion. The areas which are opened by the photoresist method, that is photolithography. Now a diffusion will take place in that areas. So diffusion process introduce dopant via epitaxy or ion implantation. Example, arsenic boron. So allow dopants to diffuse at high temperature. Block diffusion in selective areas using oxide or photoresist, and diffusion spreads both vertically horizontally. So this is the ion implantation diagram. You can see, so diffusion process is done using ion implantation as well. And the next step is metallization. So once the formation of the specimen copy of IC is formed, then the metallization is done. So sputter on aluminium over the whole wafer pattern to remove excess metals leaving wires. So due to metallization, the output connections are made. Input output connections can be done. This is all about IC fabrication, general IC fabrication process. Now we will move to see NMOS IC fabrication and PMOS IC fabrication process. Now we are going to check NMOS fabrication steps. So here you can see the processing NMOS fabrication steps. The processing is carried out on a thin wafer cut from a single crystal of silicon of high purity, into which the required P impurities are introduced as a crystal is grown. Then the next step is a layer of silicon dioxide is grown all over the surface of the wafer to protect the surface, act as a barrier to dopants during processing, and provide a generally insulating substrate onto which other layers may be deposited and patterned. The next step is the surface is now covered with a photoresist as shown, which is deposited onto the wafer and spun to achieve an even distribution of the required thickness. The photoresist layer is then exposed to ultraviolet light through a mask which defines those regions into which diffusion is to take place together with the transistor channels. So you can see here, these areas are subsequently readily etched away together with the underlying silicon dioxide so that the wafer surface is exposed in the window defined by the mask. The remaining photoresist is removed and a thin layer of SiO2 is grown over the entire chip surface, and then polysilicon is deposited on the top of this to form a gate structure as shown here. The photoresist is removed and a thin layer of SiO2 is grown over the entire chip surface, and then the polysilicon is deposited on the top of this to form the gate structure. Further, photoresist coating and a masking allows the polysilicon to be patterned as shown in step 6, and then the thin oxide is removed to exposed areas into which thick oxide Si2 is grown over all again and is then masked with photoresist and etched to expose selected areas of the polysilicon gate and the drain and the source area where connections are to be made. The whole chip has a metal deposited over its surface. This metal layer is then masked and etched to form the required interconnection pattern. So these are the steps followed for NMOS fabrication IC. Now in the next slide we will see the CMOS fabrication process. So the different types of CMOS fabrication methods are P-well method, N-well method and twin tub method. So now we will see the P-well fabrication process of CMOS using P-well method. CMOS fabrication using P-well process. The structure consists of an N-type substrate in which P devices may be formed by suitable masking and diffusion. In order to accommodate N-type devices, a deep P-well is diffused into the N-type substrate as shown. In all other respects, masking, patterning and diffusion, the process is similar to NMOS fabrication. The typical processing steps are mask 1. So the step 1, mask 1 defines the areas in which the deep P-well diffusion are to take place. Next, mask 2 defines the thin oxide regions, namely those areas where the thick oxide is to be stripped and thin oxide grown to accommodate P and N transistors and wires. Then a mask is used to pattern the polysilicon layer which is deposited after the thin oxide. A P plus mask is now used to define all areas where P diffusion is to take place. Then the mask 5 is usually performed using the negative forms of P plus mask and define those areas where N-type diffusion is to take place. The metal layer pattern is defined by this mask, that is mask 7. Mask 6 contact cuts are now defined. So mask 6 contact cuts are now defined. Mask 7 metal layer pattern is defined by the mask, and then an overall passivation, that layer is now applied, and mask 8 is needed to define the openings for access to bonding pads. So this is the overall fabrication process of CMOS using P-well method. Now we'll see the fabrication of CMOS using N-well method. So step 1, start with the primarily start the process with the P substrate. Second, step 2 is oxidation. The oxidation process is done by using high purity oxygen and hydrogen, which are exposed in an oxidation furnace approximately at 1000 degree centigrade. Step 3 is of photoresist. A light sensitive polymer that softens whenever exposed to light is called as photoresist layer. It is formed on that oxidation layer. Step 4 is masking. The photoresist is exposed to UV rays through the N-well mask. Step 5, photoresist removal. A part of the photoresist layer is removed by treating the wafer with the basic or acidic solution. Step 6 is removal of SiO2 using acidic etching. So SiO2 oxidation layer is removed through the open area made by the removal of photoresist using hydrofluoric acid. Step 7, removal of photoresist. The entire photoresist layer is stripped off as shown in the figure below. Step 8, formation of N-well. By using ion implantation or diffusion process, N-well is formed. Step 9, removal of SiO2. Using the hydrofluoric acid, the remaining SiO2 is removed. Step 10, deposition of polysilicon. Chemical vapor deposition process is used to deposit a very thin layer of gate oxide. Step 11, removing the layer barring a small area for the gates except the two small regions required for the formation of the gates, NMOS and PMOS. The remaining layer is stripped off. Step 12, oxidation process. Next, an oxidation layer is formed on this layer with two small regions for the formation of gate terminal of NMOS and PMOS. Step 13, masking and N diffusion. By using the masking process, small gaps are made for the purpose of N diffusion. The N-type dopants are diffused or ion implanted, and the 3 N+ are formed for the formation of terminals of NMOS. Step 14 is oxide stripping. The remaining oxidation layer is stripped off. Step 15, P diffusion. Similar to the above N diffusion process, the P diffusion regions are diffused to form the terminals of the PMOS. Step 16, thick field oxide. A thick field oxide is formed in all regions except the terminals of the PMOS and NMOS. Step 17, metallization. Aluminium is sputtered on the whole wafer as shown. 18, removal of excess metal. The excess metal is removed from the wafer layer. Terminals. The terminals of the PMOS and NMOS are made from respective gaps, assigning the names of the terminals of the NMOS and PMOS is step 20. So this is how the CMOS is fabricated using N-well process. Now the twin tub process for CMOS fabrication. A logical extension of the P-well and N-well approaches is a twin tub fabrication process. Here we start with the substrate of high resistivity N-type material and then create both N-well and P-well regions. Through this process, it is possible to preserve the performance of N transistor without compromising the P transistor. Doping control is more readily achieved and some relaxation in manufacturing tolerance results. So this is the CMOS IC fabrication thing using twin tub structure. So this is cross section of CMOS using twin tub structure. So here you can see N-well and P-well. So both the wells are there in which the structure is formed of CMOS. So this is all about CMOS IC fabrication. Thank you.